It's inside Blitz Conference Championship weekend, and I'm here with Ted Sobel from Ted Sobel Sports. Are you touching greatness? Are you touching greatness today? How's it going?
I try always, sir. Good to see you. We're without Ron today. He's having some wind issues over in his new location, and the power is out, and I don't know what to tell you. So we're going to do our best without him.
All you got to do is say he lives in California and there's an energy issue, and everybody will understand.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Well, thank you so much. That's why I've had no energy for the last 70 years, I think. Not feeling up to it this morning. Anyway, we're changing the NFL to the NDLL. That's the National Detroit Lions League, because everybody who's on that team will be somewhere on another team apparently this year. And hello, Chris. Thanks for Chris with an H. Thanks for saying hello. What's going on with your Lions? How are they going to react to all of this with coaches just heading in every direction?
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. There's been hey, there's Ron, but he's dark. Let's see if he's. Hey, Ron, can you hear us?
He looks great.
He looks. Well, we'll leave him in there.
He's never looked better.
But I think the Lions are going to be okay. It's disappointing when we talked about it a little bit on Tuesday. It's disappointing when you've got all. It's just like college when you got all these people trying to change and make arrangements for their futures, and it's just unfortunate it all has to converge at the same time because it doesn't work out smoothly in all fronts. But
there he is.
I'm here, but if I fade in and out, I'm just going to let the two of you do it.
No problem. It's good to see you. And if you fade in and out, welcome to my entire career, fading in and out, baby.
Well, we're under strict wind warnings here, so they turned everything off.
Yeah, well, just make sure you use a hair clip on your hat so it doesn't fall out.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, Ron. Tell us what you have to contribute while you're available.
We're talking about the Lions coaching to start things off here, and how they will have probably a coach on every single team in the league before this offseason is over. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I heard some of that. Unfortunately, I'm fading in and out, and I hope you guys are able to hear me.
Yeah, we hear you.
Really, the main thing is coach and GM. Are they in line? And that was one of the problems with Jacksonville. Nobody was even going to get an interview because they weren't aligned with that particular GM. Right. So now you have in the Jets situation, you have Aaron Glenn hired really in a weird kind of situation. There's a couple of coaches being hired before the GM. And I think it's almost official that Schottenheimer is going to be hired by Dallas. Is that true?
Well, it sounds like it's very solid. It hasn't happened yet, but they've never had a GM, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, see, that's going to be dysfunctional because Schottenheimer will have zero say in the draft.
Right. Gee, dysfunctional. The Dallas Cowboys, that's not possible. Anyway, but you took the words right out of my mouth, Ron, in regards to Aaron Glenn. And it's so weird to start off a whole new regime and you're not on the same page with the GM because you don't even have one. I don't get that. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, behind the scenes, they may try to get somebody who's worked with him before, and that's what we'll have to wait and see if that happens.
I guess, but it's also the Jets. So talk about dysfunctional. That's what they're all about. The Lions also losing their defensive line coach, who Terrell Williams, who Dan Campbell absolutely loves. He says he's the best at it on the planet. It just looks like every one of maybe Mark Brunell. They're I'll call him a quarterback's guru because he might be the big difference in Jared Goff. He's been there in the last 4 years. And maybe he's a bigger part of that than Ben Johnson is. Just throwing some thoughts out there.
Well, this is really more in Chris's neighborhood with all the coaches changing and going. They have the personnel at the top end. They've done some good things in the draft, more good things than bad, but
Yep.
there were flaws in their drafts, and they couldn't withstand all the number of injuries. Chris, what do you think of the coaching carousel that's going on? Does it matter to an experienced veteran like Goff?
Well, we're going to find out. I hope it doesn't matter. I mean, it's always going to matter because any change to routine or goals or focus is a distraction. Distractions are not good. So you just have to make do. You can't have a pity party over it. That's just what life is, and you move on. And I have confidence that Campbell released comments this morning or yesterday, basically saying he's very confident Goff will be fine. He's not a system quarterback. They were doing things completely differently when he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams. So he's shown his flexibility. He's never going to be a top 5 quarterback that's going to scare you with his running game or anything silly like that. But if you just need quarterbacks that just don't make errors and that can think. So I believe that he is one of those guys, above average, and that's what they need.
Yeah, he's definitely above average when it comes to, the brains department. He's a very bright guy. He'll pick up whatever the new situation is as fast as anybody in the league. So none of that is an issue. It's just there's a transition period, and who knows what that's going to be like. And the Raiders hiring a new GM in John Spytek, who has got a little connection to Tom Brady, and that would see how much that comes into play when they actually hire a coach too. He was a teammate of Brady's at Michigan in Tom's senior year, and then they were together at Tampa Bay when he was in the front office. So that's an interesting hire there. How he fits, who knows? What's the talk in Vegas about that, if at all?
Well, there not much that I can see, but the one thing we didn't talk about though is that Johnson probably would have gone to the Raiders, but I haven't seen anybody talking about what Johnson's getting paid. Johnson's getting paid more than Harbaugh. He hasn't even
really. I didn't see that.
He hasn't even coached a game. He's being he's in the top 7 for pay for coaches.
Wow, that's surprising. Well, especially with the Bears, right? That's surprising.
Right. So you've got him going into a dysfunctional ownership situation where they threw the kitchen sink at him. It's pretty hard to kind of turn that down.
Yeah, no wonder he loves Chicago so much.
Yeah.
That's a lot of deep dish pizza, baby.
So the Raiders apparently had offered $8 million to him. So they were willing to pony up good money.
Good.
And from the sounds of it, he would have gone to the Raiders, but other than the money. But now he loves Caleb and Chicago. So the Raiders situation, I don't know. That's a tough situation going into that division under those circumstances. I certainly wouldn't want to go there unless I was a has-been coach that was desperate for a job.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say Pete Carroll is either a has-been or desperate. He's just in a situation where, maybe give it one more shot at the end of his career and see what happens. I think they have nothing to lose if they hire him because they have no offense anyway. They've got a tight end and that's it. So who knows what they go from there.
Well, you know what? Maybe it has been. I didn't mean in a kind of a negative.
No, I know. I get it.
It's only perfect situations are going to allow for a Belichick or a Carroll at their ages to come in, because why do you want to hire somebody in that age group that can't be there, indefinitely? I mean, that's the issue.
Well, but part of that is the dysfunctional Raiders, though, too. If they do that, that's what they do, because Al Davis's kid has no clue.
If Johnson was considering the Raiders, if you look at the two rosters, they're completely different. Other than tight end and Max Crosby, there's not a position group on the Raiders that matches the Bears at all. The dysfunction was they couldn't get enough out of their talent. But there's so much more talent on Chicago. Even though they misfired at positions like the offensive line, it's still equal or better than the Raiders.
Yep. Another coaching change Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden. Remember him?
Yeah.
He's apparently going to be the next Bengals defensive coordinator, replacing Lou Anarumo. Does that matter, Ron? What's going on over there?
It doesn't matter that much to me because just 1 or 2 years ago, Lou was a hot favorite to get other coaching jobs. And
exactly.
it just takes 2 mediocre drafts and then losing your best cornerback, your best defensive back, and Jesse Bates. And all of a sudden he's on the hot seat, and they couldn't overcome that spectacular year by Joe Burrow because the defense didn't deliver. Right. So it's really drafting better people and maybe signing a free agent or two, overbidding somebody because you have enough money to do it.
Right. But most free agents don't want to go there for the obvious reasons, because of dysfunctional ownership, and they don't like to pay. And we'll see what they do if they pay their receivers, which they're probably going to lose 1 or 2 again. Right. Key guys. So T. Higgins on his way out the door, you would think. Sad situation there, but looking good for the 4 teams that are still alive. And by the way, Ron, your picture is better now than any computer you've ever used.
It's
so you
true.
need to do this. I'm serious. It's perfect.
And your sound is better.
And you sound better too. I don't know what your complaints are, but I think we have a new technology for Ron from now on.
I hate to go a little bit off topic, but I want to ask Ron. It seems like there are a lot fewer people declaring for the draft. There's going to be a lot more people staying in college longer. What do you think the effects are going to be on the drafts going forward now?
Well, you had the Ohio State situation this past year when a lot of the defensive players stayed, and you have the Penn State situation. You've got a running back that's been there 3 years. Running backs have a limited shelf life because of number of carries. Now he's shared the carries, but you have the Penn State quarterback coming back. You have the Penn State running back, maybe both running backs coming back, and a couple of others. I mean, the whole nil money has changed Penn State. They're getting paid more at non-quarterback positions than they would on a rookie contract in the NFL. So the effect is going to be that the drop off in ready to go players is going to be immediately felt. So if you could get a 3rd round starter with ease, you got them. Junior Colson out of Michigan goes to the Chargers. You got a few others, and I can't name them off the top of my head. But the 3rd round is going to be developmental like it used to be, and not plug and play like the COVID super senior group.
So, I mean, it seems to me like these drafts are going to be diluted here, at least on the short term. It's going to be the inverse of the post-COVID where they got the extra year. Now we're going to see fewer people coming out. They're going to stay in college because they can make money there. They can make a lot more money than they can in the NFL.
Yeah, a lot of the small college people are going to be offered a lot of money to go play at Miami of Florida, who's just throwing money at teams. And Ohio State had a $20 million nil budget or in excess of that before there's even going to be regulations that they're all going to start with $20 million if they sign the agreement in August. So other than quarterback, where you can jumpstart your career pretty fast, I expect still junior eligibles to come and join the draft. But other than quarterback, I think you are going to see people stay that extra year. And in it's better for the NFL in a way. Developed.
Oh, okay.
Well, go ahead, Ted. We lost Ron here for a moment.
For a second, Ron froze, but it's cold outside, so we'll give him the benefit of the.
Okay.
He's back. Okay. Anyway, let's go to championship football, guys, and let's talk about my Washington Commanders at Philadelphia. Washington's won 2 straight on the road. Can anybody come up with a team in the last whatever amount of decades that's ever gone from 4 wins to 12 and is in the position that Washington's in right now? I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, but I had high aspirations for the Washington the year before.
Right.
When they did have the 4 wins. I just think that the ownership and the coaching and just the morale was
of course
the main problem. I honestly believe if anything, it's sort of like a sandbagging situation. Washington had a good team. I mean, and it just fell apart when they had the 4 wins the previous year. So
right.
They aren't a real 4-win team, in my opinion.
Okay, but what was their OU this year totals? Win totals?
6.5 probably.
Okay. Well, so to double that is still pretty impressive. Anyway.
No, it is.
and really, Jaden Daniels is just incredible what he's done so far. First trip to the NFC Championship in 33 years. Quick explanation. I know you guys talked about it on Tuesday, but what happened in Detroit and exactly how they just continue to do the same thing week after week, Washington, they're sort of like Kansas City. They find ways to win.
Well, they're playing error-free ball. They're
yep.
The first they've got 4 turnovers against Philadelphia in the 2 previous games. If they do not turn the ball over this time, think about what can happen. So
absolutely.
Their focus has been they've played 4 no punt, no turnover games this season. Kansas City's played 8 straight games without a turnover. The teams that are protecting the ball are the ones that are advancing. So
yep, and that's not a shock.
No,
that's football is what it's called. But one thing about Washington, though, they are playing a better defensive game. You know, we talked about how questionable we all thought that their defense was throughout the season, and they are just doing enough to win. It's going to be interesting this week because they don't have a great run D, and they're facing the guy I think should be the MVP in the league in Saquon. So, I mean, that he's the big difference in Philadelphia to me.
He is. And then when you mentioned the Washington defense, I was watching Greg Cosell this morning.
Yeah.
And that pick 6 that Goff threw, I don't think I've ever seen him so adamant about saying, no, that was not a bad play by Goff. There was brilliant defensive strategy on how they defended that play. And he went on to show it. And he goes, that was not horrible by Goff. Goff did not have a horrible game. The defensive schemes were very, very good.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. And it's also something that the average fan never talks about. They just look at a number in turnovers or, in this case, interceptions. There's a lot of times guy ran the wrong route, guy stopped, he slowed down. I mean, that happens every game. It doesn't always end up in a pick 6 or a pick, but it happens all the time. So, it's always the quarterback who takes the Chris and Ted will carry on. My signal isn't working properly. Thank you, Ron. We appreciate the effort, and you can bill us for the 12 seconds that you came in.
But, and the same thing went with the Kelsey being wide open situation. If you look at the film on that, it was just the perfect play to run against the man coverage. The way that Kansas City set that up, it caused the defensive backs to, not switch properly.
Yeah,
and that left Kelsey wide open.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I could just say that, Chris, you're just like Ron. You're fantastic in queuing up the first piece of sound, talking about interceptions. Washington quarterback Mike Sandersstill, after the 2 picks against the Lions and Jared Goff. And this guy has really come on. He's been impressive coming out of Michigan. Let's hear from him.
We earned the right to play how we played tonight. We earned the right to win all week. The focus, the level of preparation that went into being out here tonight. The coaches did a great job with us this week, just helping us take care of our bodies coming back from a late game on Sunday. Just everything that we put into this night, we earned. We have a team who truly loves each other, who truly cares about each other. It doesn't matter what talent you have on your team. The camaraderie, the brotherhood is always going to, win above everything else. No talent, no nothing can take away what you have as a brotherhood. And there's more out there. We know that there's a lot left in the tank. This is what we talked about. This is what we manifested. And so we just want to go out there and capitalize on every opportunity we get. Right here, the Washington Commanders, that's what the vets set the bar at during the offseason. That's the standard they set. The rookies, we just came in and matched it every single day. And right now, that's why we are where we are. We earned the right to play how we played tonight. We earned the right to win all week. The focus, the level of preparation that went into being out here tonight. The coaches did a great job of with us this week, just helping us take care of our bodies coming back from a sad.
That's it from Mike. The reason I played that was I absolutely love his confidence and how he stressed the kind of room they have right now.
It's funny. I don't mean to interrupt, but it's funny you said that because I'm like, what the fuck is he playing this for? And it's like, then as it goes along, I got the exact same thing about it.
I'm stressing what that room is like right now. And when's the last time you heard that out of that organization in the last 20 years? Forget about it, right?
No, so that's true. It's true.
It's very, very impressive. And we'll see how long that lasts. In the meantime, we'll continue to praise Jaden Daniels, just like their head coach, Dan Quinn, does. And he went right to the point on what makes him poised in the clutch.
He just has a different poise about him than most, and he's a rare competitor. There's no doubt about that. But in those moments, if he was a basketball player, he'd want the last shot. As a ball player, he wants the ball in his hands to make the difference, and he makes great decisions with the football. And that takes real mindfulness. Sometimes the best play may be, hey, I got to throw this away. He uses his legs. But he is a rare competitor for us. But his poise in these tight moments really stands out to us.
And how often do we ever see that from a rookie quarterback like this? It's extremely rare. And again, the guy that I call the MVP of the league, Saquon Barkley, he is so thrilled to be in this situation. This is what every guy wants in their careers, and he gets an opportunity to play in this huge game. Let's hear from him.
Whether it's national spotlight or it's Saturday on the parking lot, it don't really matter. I just want to make the plays for the team. And before that, I just kind of kept telling myself, just locking in, being focused. And O-line did a really good job. And I was able to set stuff up with my shoulders and pop 2 big ones. So this is what you dream about. This is why I came to Philly. I wanted to be a part of games like this. And I'm just happy to be able to be a part of it.
There you go. That's Saquon Barkley. And I think the interesting stat, Chris, from the last game, he had the 2 unbelievable long runs, right? He had, I think it was 23 other carries, and he averaged 3 yards a carry and all those other ones. But
I wish Ron was here because I'd want his opinion. I'm a little I don't watch all the games in Philadelphia. I don't watch every time he gets the ball. It just seems like it just reminds me a little bit about the Emmitt Smith days when he had a great offensive line and ran through these giant holes. I mean, I've seen at least a handful of runs where he's not even touched and runs for 70 yards. Literally, nobody comes within a foot of him.
Right.
And so that's my issue with this. I've seen him make some good plays. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, he's not good, but I just feel like he's being, artificially propped up for greatness.
Okay. Well, I think artificial is not fair because tell me one great running back who doesn't have a great offensive line.
Barry Sanders never had a great offensive line.
No, well, okay, that's unusual. That's a good choice. And of all people, I should have never asked you that. Outside of Barry Sanders, who's probably the greatest who ever lived. Okay.
Walter Payton.
Rare.
Would you say
no,
Walter
Payton had a good line? He had a very good line. Yes,
really?
He did. Yeah,
he was incredible.
Yes, he was. But again, most of these guys that go for long runs don't do it on their own. They got to have some help.
No, I know that.
I think artificial is a little bit strong.
Well, what I mean is amplified would be the.
No, I know. Well, just the fact that he's had like 300 yard or 2 300-yard games this year and another one over 2. I mean, you got to have an O-line give you something there. That's just part of the. I'm just saying. What's the latest on Jalen Hurts? Is there any news at all on how he's coming along?
I don't see an update. It looks like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost 2 defensive coaches. One of them is going to the Lions, but I do not know in what capacity yet because I'm behind this morning.
Yeah. So it could be the DL coach or the DC.
The assistant defensive line coach, I guess. I can't.
Okay. That's the guy they just lost. right?
Yeah.
That's the position that was Terrell Williams when he went to New England. So that he's probably replacing him. So there's nothing new on Jalen Hurts then, right?
No, I think the situation is that he's playing and he's dinged up a little bit.
Yep.
But he oftentimes plays dinged up and such. And I know Ron mentioned on Tuesday that he anticipates a good strategy would be to have Hurts run early to keep that threat going, and then maybe get away from that a little bit. And I was reading elsewhere that. His type of injury is going to be okay for north-south kind of running, but he's going to have some difficulties escaping and doing things unpredictably left to right sort of thing. So
yeah, well, he had his leg bent. I mean, he looked like a pretzel. It was not good when it happened. I think he's lucky he wasn't hurt much worse. But that's the kind of thing, though, that maybe if it's not going to be healed that much, they may just say, you know what, we're going to abandon that. Just you scramble when you have to, but try not to run, baby, because if we lose you, it's Kenny Pickett, I guess, in the back.
Well, but, then do they commit to stopping the run and make him pass? Because he hasn't been passing all that well, and Brown hasn't been catching the ball all that well, although Brown has had a great season against Washington this year, and that might just be the tonic that he needs to get back on track.
Right. Again, bottom line to me is Washington's run D in this game. What are they going to do about thanks for the pretzel, right? I mean, their run D has not been great all year, and now they're going against Saquon. So that's an interesting matchup right there. Jaden Daniels doesn't give a damn if it's road, home, or in the parking lot. It means absolutely nothing to him. Anyway, final thoughts with the spread, too, on the value, because apparently, to me, there's lots of value, but you guys have made the line a little bit different, you and Ron, as far as the early line goes.
Yeah, where do you see the value?
I think Philadelphia +6 in this game is value with a not 100% Jalen Hurts. I'll take the 6.
Yeah, well, I'd take the 6 too, but you got to lay the 6.
I'm talking about Washington.
Okay, you said Philadelphia.
All right, I'm going to take the 6. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, this Philadelphia team is not the same team that started off the season, and they've gotten a lot of players back. They've added, they did so well in that draft that, everybody seems to be not only be contributing, but excelling. So the team is getting better and better. So that's my concern.
Right.
With
by the way, the one guy really excelling is Jalen Carter. I mean, he has had a hell of a playoffs. And what's that O-line for Washington going to do about that guy? Because it seems like you blink and he's all over you.
It's going to be interesting. My numbers say Washington. I'm a little apprehensive because, if I'm reading the market right, I hate to say it, but Philadelphia looks like the play. If you just read a market, you don't do any handicapping, and if you think the NFL is an efficient market, then I would say Philadelphia is probably the play.
Okay.
I'm playing Washington. I'm going to have teaser help or parlay help with additional points across the board.
Right.
I don't want to play the +6 or +6.5 that's available.
Is 6.5 a good, still a number, a solid 6.5?
You can get 6.5. There are 6.5s out there. You can get 6 or 6.5. So if this game lands on 6, nobody has an excuse to lose.
Yep. Exactly. But you told me you would have made or your opening line was 4.5. So there's got to be value on your end if it's up to 6.5. Right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay.
But again, reading the market and knowing basically, the thing that bothers me is the way that Philadelphia allows teams to stay around, hang around. And they don't. Last year, they put, or in the past, two years ago, they put teams away.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of last year, they put teams away. Yeah. And they haven't done that. They let teams come back in. And when you let teams come back in, especially Washington's got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. If they lose 49-0, nobody cares. And they know it. So they get to play schoolyard ball, free and loosey-goosey, and see what happens.
If they lose 49-0, Chris cares, because I don't think the tease is going to cover that spread.
They will not. Nope.
Okay, I'm just saying. Late game, Buffalo and Kansas City. What's the latest on the weather there? It's not supposed to be a factor, right?
No, the weather's not going to be a factor. It's going to be a little bit better weather than last week.
Okay, well, that's good. That always helps. Okay, so Buffalo finishes 10-0 at home this year. Now they're on the road. What is the big difference going to be in that department this week? Does that matter?
Yeah, it matters because Josh Allen is 0-3 against Kansas City in the playoffs. And we know Pat Mahomes' record in the playoffs. That's a big monkey to get off your back.
Is that line moving at all, or is it a solid 2?
In the hemisphere, you can lay 1.5 or you can take 2.5, but it's mainly
okay.
There's more 1.5s than 2s.
Okay. Let's get your thoughts on that first, because I'm just wondering where you feel that should be or where it might move to, if it moves at all.
Well, I don't think it's going to move much. I think I've heard the same thing that I've said from everybody basically, and that is that Buffalo's defense just isn't up to snuff. I mean, you really have to have a concern with the Buffalo defense. So by the pure stats, I think you would find it common to find people think Buffalo should be favored by 1 or 2.
Really?
But if you factor in this is playoff Kansas City and the monkey's on Buffalo's back, and Kansas City's healthier and more put together than they were for most of the season, well, you can justify the fact that Kansas City's the favorite. So there's good arguments on each side.
And we mentioned turnovers. We say that about every game, whether it's Pee-wee football or not. But how about Buffalo? 21 straight games. They've won the turnover battle. 21 straight games.
They have not turned the ball over in 8 straight games.
That's incredible. It really is. So that makes up for whatever lack of D is getting them in the win column, in my mind. And then, but we have also talked about their defense being questionable for the last few months, and yet they're coming on with an energy that we didn't even think they had. You know.
Well, you look at the way they won last week, Ted. Baltimore never punted.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, Buffalo didn't really force those turnovers. I mean, all of those turnovers were kind of silly. You know,
right.
I mean, those were bad turnovers, and is that luck? I don't know, but you can't walk away from that game confident that Buffalo's defense is going to be strong enough. And the unusual way that they won without Josh Allen being as involved as he normally is was odd also. I mean, when he got to the goal line, he was happy to run it in, obviously.
Right.
But Cook contributed in great ways. If they can get those contributions again, that would be really good.
Yeah, but I think another thing to stress is this is not the Kansas City offense just because it's Mahomes and Kelsey doing some good things. This is not the offense that they were a few years ago. They're better now than they were earlier in the year and even later in the year. But they're still, I don't expect them to just run up and down the field on this team.
Well, I believe, I don't have the stats.
Okay.
Pat Mahomes he's either like in the top 3 for pass attempts in the league this year.
Okay, is that
so
right?
He's throwing the ball a ton, but on throws of 20 yards or more, he's like in the 30% range. He's last in the league by far.
Wow.
In fact, Sam Darnold has a completion percentage twice that for those plays.
Okay.
So he's throwing the ball a hell of a lot more, but he's not throwing it downfield. So it's an important part of their game. It's a different style. It's working for him.
Yeah. Okay. And Larry, Sports Talk. I'm not a fan of Lucky being in the Final Four. You got to be a little better than Lucky to do it. I mean, there's luck involved in everything, but they're not that lucky.
Well, I think with anything, you have to have some good fortune.
Of course.
I believe that they're making their own luck in a lot of ways.
That's right. Josh Allen makes his own luck too.
You have to put yourself in a position to be lucky sometimes, and
right.
they've done a pretty good job on that. You know, the other observation I wanted to just say.
What's that?
This is all four of these teams. Think about this. All four of these teams are go for it on fourth down teams. So if you're on the other side of the 50 and it's, 4th and 4, all four of these teams are going for it. So that means that you have defensive styles that are going to have to change because, when you're looking at 3rd and 9, the defense has to be set up that it's second down, basically. You can't celebrate when you hold them to 7 yards or 6 yards because that's not going to be it. So that everything changes. And who's better suited to and equipped for those changes? I kind of trust Spagnuolo, a little bit there, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Absolutely. But it still comes down to execution. And as the late John McKay once said, I'm in favor of it when it comes to my guys. Execute all of them when they're not doing the job. Let's hear from Bills 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Deion Dawkins, who's got one of the great personalities in the league and an outstanding post-game interview on NFL Network after they got past Baltimore.
The big boys, we up front, we did it, both defense, offense. Josh Allen is the MVP. I'm tired of all the bittering and talk. Josh Allen is the MVP. The Buffalo Bills are one step closer. We have not done nothing yet. We still got to finish. But we're that much closer, and I'm thankful.
I heard the crowd chanting MVP. Was there extra pride for this game, given all the storylines?
We've seen the media. We've seen everything that they've been saying. We've seen how they said it's a simple game plan, that we're simple to beat. We respect it. We're very respectful players. They're a good team. Very, very good team.
This guy's on.
2 gladiators fought today. 2 of the best quarterbacks performed today. I'm just thankful that my quarterback was victorious.
You said you're not done yet. AFC Championship against those Chiefs. You gave them the only loss this season, but you're 0-3 against them in the playoffs. Why is this time? Why is this time different?
Listen, energy is right, man, but we got to beat them again. Before in the season, it doesn't matter. We're starting scratch 0-0. We'll see who ends with the W in a week.
Absolutely. Last one, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Must-see TV?
Come on now. If you're not watching, I don't know what you're doing. If you're not drifting cars or watching Josh Allen being protected by Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown and the O-line, what you doing? We got one step closer, baby! Ah!
That's Deion Dawkins. He's great. Can you imagine if everybody was the same as him? We'd be so energized out we wouldn't know what to do.
I liked how he had to pause there on the, well, you guys haven't beaten them.
Yeah, right. But a nice response out of him. In the meantime, the old man, he did listen to Greg Cosell today. The old man, Von Miller, who's got himself a couple of Super Bowl rings now with Buffalo Bills, of course. He knows all about Kansas City and talked about first trying to teach the kids how to win when it matters.
Sometimes you're on teams and, you need that. Sometimes you don't. And, sometimes on teams you just let them, figure it out. And, I think that's where we're at. I think, all these guys are ready to go. Like I had said last week or the week before, if they ask me some questions, I would love to, share some of my experience. But the way we're riding now and, the way our trajectory is, I'm just here as a resource. I'm not, forcing it on anybody. We've all been playing good, and D-line room, defense, offense, we all been playing good. So I just wanted to keep us, in that same, type of groove. Sometimes pressure isn't good for everybody. People react differently from pressure. So, sometimes you just want to alleviate that and just, feed the confidence, let everybody know that we're good enough to play in this game, we're good enough to win this game, and, we just leave it right there. That's all you need. You don't need any extra sauce on it. Let's just go out here and play this game, take it one play at a time.
How have you seen Kansas City evolve and change the way they do business over the years to stay at the top of their game?
Good answer.
I wouldn't say they change. I would say they do whatever it takes to win, and that's what I've noticed. Even back when I was in Denver playing, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and all those guys. If it takes 6 touchdowns to win the game, then that's what they'll do. If it's only 2, that's what they'll do. They're really just focused on winning the game. And, some years it was over the top, the Tyreek Hill putting up, crazy numbers, and some years it's not. But they still have this ability, no matter what the situation is, to, win those games. We saw it all season. It could be the game-winning kick, them versus Denver the first time, and they were able to get a block. So, they do whatever it takes to win, and, it's respectable. Like, that's not something that you coach or teach. That's just the lifeblood of the team. And, after you win so many close games like that, like they have, it starts to feed into the confidence, and rightfully so. They've been in those situations time in and time out, and they're doing whatever it takes to win. If that's Pat throwing the ball 100 times, that's what they do. If it's running the ball, that's what they do. If it's defense playing stout, Chris Jones coming in and, all of those guys on defense to get it done, that's what they do. Whatever it takes to win, that's what they're trying to do for sure.
There you go. Von Miller, ask him a question, and 5 minutes later, you'll have the complete answer. He is thorough, let's put it that way, and thoughtful as well.
Yeah, I mean, the point of the matter is, I think what he's just trying to get across is that they are who they are, and who they are is they're willing to do whatever it takes. They're just because they win games differently from time to time, it doesn't mean they're changing all that much.
Right. I think he also means if you look under at Wikipedia under finding a way to win, it's the Kansas City Chiefs of any team in any sport ever. When you think about with their run right now, it's just
I don't trust Wikipedia anymore. Anybody can put anything in there.
Well, it's Wikipedia Sports, of course.
Oh, okay.
And of course, the guy who's the leader of We Find a Way is Patrick Mahomes. And I left a few questions in for him because people want to know that he was asked about the refs this week. So he didn't give the greatest answer, but I want people to hear it if they didn't. But he first talks about who we just heard, Von Miller, who's still a tough guy to face.
He's still just an extreme playmaker. He's an effective pass rusher. He knows how to get to the football. And it seems like he knows how to make plays in the biggest moments. He's one of those guys. And so someone you have to account for on every single snap. Just like last week, he makes a big play. It seems like he makes a big play. I mean, that's why he was a Super Bowl MVP. And so they have a really good defense just in general, but he's definitely a leader on that team.
You don't play against Josh directly, obviously, but what is that sort of matchup with a quarterback of this caliber do in your own mind if you're compared?
I think you just have to know you're going to have to play your best football. I've played against Josh enough times to know that he's going to come out there and play great football, especially in those big moments. And so for me, I have to play my best football whenever I get the opportunity to and try to put our team in the best position to succeed. And if that's limiting turnover, if that's changing the field position, whatever that is, you have to find a way that day to win.
Find a way.
When you go up against a great quarterback, it takes your best as well.
Can you go through the differences you take into account when it comes to scrambling during the regular season versus the height and some of the importance of finding the right time to do it in the postseason? Yeah, I think just you just know that in the regular season, I don't want to say you're like trying not to get injured, but you're trying to protect yourself knowing that it's a long season. Whereas when you're in the playoffs, you might take a few more chances here and there to try to get those first downs, get those big runs and big moments. And so you want to protect yourself as well, but at the same time, you might try to run for a few extra yards to get that first down, knowing that it's such a big possession. Every possession is a huge possession in the playoffs. And so I have some athletic ability, and so I like to run sometimes in the playoffs, but I'll try to protect myself as well.
Patrick, there's been a lot of conversation nationally and around social media and stuff about the whistles, right? And the calls that Houston was complaining after the game, they were battling the refs too and all that stuff. What's it feel like to you as you look back through the year as far as fair whistle, not a fair whistle? I mean, does it feel to you like you've gotten protection or anything like that from officials that it's not around the rest of the quarterbacks in the league?
I don't feel that way. I mean, I just try to play football at the end of the day. The referees are doing their best to call the game as fair and as proper as they possibly can, and all you can do is go out there and play the game that you love as hard as you can and live with the results. And so for me, it's to go out there, play hard, try to do whatever I can to win the football game, and then live with the results based off my effort and the way that we played the game. And so I think that's what we preach here in Kansas City.
Does it feel any different for you as a veteran now, though? Did you eventually earn the benefit of the doubt at some point in your career, or has it been the same the whole time?
I haven't felt any different. You get new referees every year. You get new circumstances, and you never can really tell because every play is different. That's what makes the NFL so special. And so I feel like I've just continued to play the game, and I just try to win. And whatever happens, kind of happens.
There you go. So that's Patrick Mahomes. And hey, look, what do you expect him to say? Oh, yeah, the refs are giving me everything because I'm Patrick Mahomes, damn it.
Well, I laugh because it's such a tell when somebody says, well, they're just doing the best job that they can and blah, blah, blah. You know.
But again, what's he going to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, most players are sitting there saying, well, they'll disguise the fact that they're incompetent. But when
Look, I think we stressed enough. Kansas City finds a way. And according to the feel I'm getting here out of Cris, I think he thinks they're going to find a way again, don't you?
Yeah, I would think so. It's interesting. The referee matchup, the referee that they sent out has not a great history for Kansas City success. So is that a coincidence? Probably not. So
okay.
I would think that the league has heard enough of the favoritism on the Kansas City side. And I think that I don't think Buffalo's going to get any extra help from the refs this game. I don't think they're going to get any benefit necessarily, but I think they're really going to make sure that this game does not come down to referee complaints.
Because weather is not a factor, doesn't the over look reasonably good in this game? Was it still around 47 and a half?
Yeah, it is. Originally, I liked the under on this because I thought that these teams would be ball control focused.
Okay.
It doesn't really serve either team to get into it. But the more you think about it, take a look at that Buffalo defense. That Buffalo defense can really make opposing offenses look pretty darn good. So I think the Kansas City is going, Kansas City played a darn good defense. Houston is nothing to sneeze at. They have a great pass D. There's a lot of things Houston does well defensively. And the fact that Kansas City didn't blow the doors off of them doesn't necessarily mean that they can't if they need to. So right. I think Kansas City is going to have more success. They're going to be able to score more. And I believe that Buffalo is a solid team offensively, and they're going to get their points. So, yeah, I like the over now.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking if Kansas City gets off to a lead, then it's going to be Josh Allen, whatever the hell it takes kind of a thing, right? He's going to be gunslinger and running all over the place. And I think that could open up even the offense more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, the model favors Buffalo. I'd like to have a position of over a touchdown each direction if I can set that up. But I'll certainly, the same way I am with with Washington, I'm going to play Buffalo over a touchdown.
Okay. I still think Kansas City 11-2 at home playoff games is just an incredible record. It really is.
Yeah, Larry says something good too, is you don't like people to get sick of players, but you know what? I don't think leagues can really control that. I think that's always a perpetuating cycle in all leagues is people get sick of the star players at some point. People got sick of the Patriots. People are getting sick of the Chiefs. I think NFL fans are really. I think that's one of the reasons why they welcome the Lions. They were welcoming some sort of a new team. If it can't be my team, I like that team. And people are sick of the Chiefs, but I don't think people are in love with Buffalo either.
No, but I think most people like Josh Allen and what he brings to the table. He's fun to watch, and they say, hey, you know what? This team lost all those Super Bowls in a row. Let's get them a win sometime.
Yeah.
So, there's always that in the back of their minds too. Bottom line is, I think we got two really interesting matchups, and we could have very close games, both of them, which is nice when we're coming down to the wire here. Any final thoughts at all, Chris?
I'm sorry, I was reading breaking news and I missed.
Oh, what do you got?
It's non-sports related. So.
Oh, okay. Breaking news: they just threw a flag for a holding against Kansas City.
What? I'm sorry. What was your question again?
I'm just saying. Any final thoughts on the weekend? Because I see a couple of very close games and good battles.
You know what? I'm just not excited about these games. I think that they can be very good games. I'm just not excited about. I guess if I had, I'm kind of excited about Washington because that's a cool story.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm just sick of Buffalo, Kansas City over and over.
No, I get
it. And I'm not even going to be happy. I'm not even happy betting Buffalo and rooting for Buffalo. That's what the oddity is. It's sort of like I feel like I'm on autopilot. Okay, Buffalo, Kansas City. Who am I supposed to play? Okay. Yeah. It's the strangest feeling.
It is weird. Yeah, it's not like you see this matchup for most eras. It just keeps happening and happen. I guess it's sort of similar to when it was New England Indy for a few years there, right?
It actually feels like why they had an expansion in hockey from the original 6.
That's going back. Or maybe like the Packers and the Niners for a while. It was like, here they are again in that championship game, right?
Yeah.
So sort of like that, but it still doesn't happen that often. That's why.
Who's your pick here, Ted?
I'm going with Kansas City again because they find a way.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know about the other game. I just like the points. Give me 6.5 if you got it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. There's no way that's going to 7, is it?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm just surprised it didn't go to because you are a sharp when it comes to this stuff. You made it 4.5. How is it going up to 6.5? Where's the thinking in your mind behind that?
I understand why it's going up. I mentioned a few things with, just the fact that, Philadelphia's been there before. They've been improving throughout the season.
Right. No, I get it.
It seems like probably where the number belongs. If I had to put a number on it, I wouldn't have put it at 4.5. I probably would have put it at 5.5. But
okay.
Not that that's a huge difference.
No.
But I did not think the Rams game would hit 7 last week.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And it did. I don't think this one will hit 7. But it's. I don't think it will hit 7.
Yeah,
I don't think the Kansas City line is going to move once.
And how about 3 of the last 4 games last weekend hitting right at the line, right?
Yeah, that's why my new betting style of betting with cushion is fun in those instances because you don't have to sweat it out.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's it for me. I got it. Let's just look forward to this, and we'll talk to you next week just before I head to Pebble Beach.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be seeing Josh Allen over there. I forgot.
You know what? I actually think that I'm still waiting for the official list. I don't think Josh or Aaron Rodgers is playing this year, but that's a TBD. If that's, even on the list, we'll find out. They shortened it to nothing. It's mostly CEOs with $70,000 to jump into the pro-am game. Sorry, I'm not included in that.
Well, let me know if you got an extra pass. Maybe I'll drive you up there.
All right, sounds good. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have fun.
Bye.
Later.